There are people out there that would consider me, quote unquote, I hate this word, but a terrorist.
As an Indigenous person, you were known as somebody who potentially could be a drunk, have substance abuse issues.
Being Indian, they may have expected me to know a lot about computers.
It's sometimes a really unique experience navigating the world as a person with a disability who looks to be completely able-bodied.
He made a comment about, well, don't worry about this that's going on because you won't be here too much longer. You'll be off having your next baby soon.
Most women are, told they need to behave a certain way.
People really think that my generation is lazy.
Just another blonde waitress.
Hey, do you rap?
The only black girl.
I didn't belong.
I guess kind of growing up, people made these assumptions about what I was supposed to be, but it was really eye-opening for me to realize that I had been making those same assumptions myself.
We all like to think that we're inclusive, but sometimes we don't actually step back and think, wait a second, did I hear everybody in the room?
I mean, don't judge is the message, but it's also hard not to.
I always thought that every gay man was flamboyant and rude.
The older generation is set in their ways.
Initially, I thought there was something weird about a girl who would want to be a camera operator because of the word cameraman, and we still have to work past these things and stuff.
I went into the school on my first day, and there's these little girls, and they're wearing hijabs, and I was really intimidated by that.
Have your initial judgments, but also be willing to learn.
My definition of inclusion is a world and a society in which constructed barriers have been torn down.
Inclusion for me is setting up an environment where everybody is comfortable.
Open to accept other people's opinions.
All individuals, regardless of their diversity, feel welcomed, feel respected.
It means that they don't have to try to be what others expect them to be.
Change is possible, but it takes the right person to make a change happen.
I had a shop floor supervisor who stood up for me and sent out a company-wide email saying that Robin has every legal right to use the women's change rooms. It's funny because you do find allies in some of the strangest places.
One thing we can do to support inclusion is to talk about it.
You have to demonstrate that you're committed to this.
Get to know people around you. Do something different, learn something different, learn about a culture.
Different races, different religions, different belief systems, and see what there's good in all those things.
Be an active listener. That's one of the things I practice with other immigrants as well.
Open up your mind and take your time and get to know someone. Instead of putting them in this box, because showing that interest, it's gonna surprise you.
Ask me a stupid question. I don't care if it's a stupid question, just ask me.
I'm an open book and willing to answer them.
I don't see it as a negative thing, I see it as a teachable moment. Just ask me how to pronounce my name.
It's simple. You decide that other people's feelings and experiences matter.
We need to have more uncomfortable conversations so that we can drive more inclusion. And oftentimes, it's not easy.
And it's important, otherwise change will never happen.
My name is Shomodeep Ganguly, but people call me Sam.
I am Layla Karem.
Mutsa Matanga. Ms. Geneviève Leblanc.
Ashley Pasila.
Patrick Duff.
Neil McLaughlin.
Helena Gotchling.
Rod Bolger.
Jessica Shue.
Kazim Marcano. I'm a chef and I forge metals.
A proud mother.
Forklift operator and a truck driver.
I envision a day when we can just be so accepting of each other, where we can make space for others.
So welcome everyone to the inaugural Home Services of America Belonging Summit, where we begin to move forward together. And it starts with us, right? And the important role that each of you play as leaders within our organization. I wanted to share the opening video with you because of the message it portrays and the impact that it had on me when I first saw it. It's about the conversation, about the direction, and about the opportunity that we have to learn to engage and exchange ideas so that we can make a difference in the way we approach everything we do. In the next 2 days, we want to make an impact because we know that you are the change makers, those who can make a difference in our organization, in your companies, and in the communities that you serve. My name is Teresa Palacios Smith, and I am Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America. And you are the reason that I'm here. And as I speak to you today, I am very aware of the important role that I play as a catalyst for change, creating an environment and a culture where we all feel that we belong and that we all want to be a part of. And this begins from the very top of our organization. It starts with Ron Peltier, our chairman, and Gino Blafari, our CEO and president, and the rest of the leadership team here at Home Services of America. For those who don't know the story, Gino hired me 3 years ago when he was CEO and president of HSF affiliates. So did you hear that? 3 years ago, before it was the thing to do. And for those who don't know, HFS Affiliates is the company that operates the franchise arm of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and Real Living Real Estate. And there was actually not a role for anyone in the diversity and inclusion space. So he actually created the role for me. When he was elevated to president and CEO at Home Services America, he brought me here to lead the efforts for all of the organization. He is a visionary and he leads with heart and also with conviction, and understands that to make a difference, we must create that vision and the plan. I'm not alone in this endeavor, as we recognize that we have all a part to play in leading change within our organization. And we have the commitment and the great leaders in place who invested their time, their efforts to listen, to learn, and to make a difference. In the last 6 months, HSO has elevated 5 women to significant leadership roles within our organization's enterprise. Stuart Lyle and the HR team are dedicated to providing training, and in 2020 delivered unconscious bias training to 100% of the employees. And this year, we're going to be rolling out inclusive language training as well, which will elevate our awareness of the importance of the words we speak. More than 80% of our company's leadership has taken the At Home with Diversity training, which, by the way, is a 7-hour course, and will reach 100% by the end of the year. And again, Dan Forsman and Ray Mesa, all of our leaders took the course. As we celebrate Fair Housing Month, our legal and HR team have created an employee pledge, which we've all received, so that we understand the role that we play in abiding by Fair Housing Act. In addition, we also have 100% of our leadership team committed to guiding all of our agents to read and sign NAR's Fair Housing Declaration before the end of the month. And it will be part of all of our onboarding processes moving forward together. And as you may be aware of, we are aggressively adopting strategic partnerships, promoting community investments that foster diversity, equity, and inclusion. Partnerships with organizations making a difference, like ARIA, like the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance, NAREB, NAREB, NAWREB, VAREP, Professional Women in Building, and the Women Council of Realtors. And they're going to be here today to also provide insight about their organizations. Once again, not only to foster a better environment, but also to achieve our company's goal of strongly increasing minority homeownership. We have a stellar slate of speakers that will be with us in the next 2 days who are impacting our communities, driving initiatives, growing diversity and inclusion within their companies, and also creating programs that make a difference in the work that we do every day. This is just the beginning, and I have a great deal of work ahead of me. I am honored to serve in this role, and the future looks brighter than ever for our organization. Every day you challenge me to make our world a better place. Today, I just want to acknowledge the company that really came up with this whole idea of gathering each of us to the summit. Thank you, Edina Realty, as I got together with our leaders who asked the question, have you thought about putting a program together where we could all learn from each other? And that's how it begins. It also begins with a plan. And there is no other person that I believe would be the perfect choice to help put that plan in place than our fearless leader, our keynote speaker today, kicking off this event, Gino Buffari, who's going to be giving us lessons learned in 2020 and also winning strategies for 2021. Gino Buffari, if you don't mind, take it away.
And Teresa, while you're still online, can you hear me right now? I
know I can certainly hear you.
Great, great. And I believe that I'm going to screen share with you and give a little recap of 2020 and then talk about 2021 going forward. And while that gets up there right now, Teresa, thank you to you for all you have done and the great energy that you bring to this thing. I was just listening to you right there, and I couldn't be more proud of what you've accomplished over the last 3 years, but especially recently right now. So I'm going to get into it right now. And to the people on the West Coast, I guess I will be saying good morning. To the people on the East Coast, good afternoon. And whether it's good morning or good afternoon, we're going to get rolling right now. And before we move forward with our Belonging Summit today, I'd like to reflect on 2020. That's what Teresa asked me to do. And what we accomplished against the backdrop of unparalleled challenges and events. Perhaps the devastating wildfires that ravaged Australia, or when we heard the news of Kobe and Gigi Bryant's tragic and untimely death. Those were the first clues that 2020 would be a year to remember. Yet, with renewed focus on technology, innovation, and transformation, we started the year with anticipation, and we were off, believe it or not, to the best first quarter in the history of home services of America. But seemingly overnight, our world changed, and words like open house, showings, listings, appointment, and recruiting, were replaced by words like shelter in place, social distancing, PPE, and masks, and budget cuts as pendings. Believe it or not, right now, a year ago, they plummeted in some of our markets more than 50%. It was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Tim, that's Tim Wilson there, and he's going to speak with us today. But on a phone conversation I had with Tim on March 15th, because remember, the mortgage market was really hot last year, and he proudly reported that, boy, our mortgage company, Prosperity, was going to have their best month ever, generating nearly, it looked like halfway through the month, $24 million in EBITDA. And then servicing went away overnight. Servicing values went from 125 basis points to zero on a pipeline of $250 million, and that ate the entire $24 million profit away. You talk about a roller coaster that we were on right then. We were perhaps down, but we were not out, and we were not down for long. And what was an astonishing example of resilience and leadership, everybody on this call, and all the people at Home Services of America, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and Real Living, you not only managed the challenges that came with closing offices and moving your employees and agents to safety, but you recalibrated your priorities with exemplary creativity, patience, and grace, and you guided your company, our company, through a cultural and business transformation. Together as a family of leaders, as teams, as partners, we took on this pandemic. It was an amazing display of unity as we supported one another within and across our companies to overcome challenges that were unthinkable only a few weeks before. The first signs of hope appeared on March 27th, when the stimulus package was passed. Unemployment benefits softened the blow to consumer confidence, and mortgage rates toppled to historic lows. In fact, they had a historic low 16 times last year. That drove consumers to the housing and to the housing market in record numbers. Servicing was starting to return, inventory was falling, the refinance market was exploding, and the avalanche of applications just poured in. Yes, 2020 presented us with many challenges from these events, something extraordinary unfolded. Our employees, our agents, our loan officers, our closers, everybody stepped up and flourished. They leveraged today's latest technology, right? I mean, what did you really know about Zoom and Microsoft Teams and things like that before, right? So we leveraged today's technology and offered their buyers and sellers the ability to complete the entire transaction from search to purchase to finance to close, all from the safety of our homes. And we are forever grateful for those frontline employees that did that, who embraced the challenges and risks of working with customers face to face, to close transactions when state restrictions did not allow any other option. But just as we began to think we may be turning the corner, that spring market would only be delayed when tragedy struck. George Floyd lost his life. And the eruption of anger and violence that began in Minneapolis, right where our headquarters is, spurred an international movement and sparked a national discussion that brought to the forefront racial and economic injustice, housing disparities, and more. Our hearts were heavy as we watched the social unrest that swept through the streets and through the cities.